Faithful Responders consists of 2 deputies and 2 firefighters with nearly 40 combined years of service as first responders. Scotty, Jonathan, Clint, and Jacob invite you to listen as they discuss various issues that first responders deal with in their daily lives as well as on the job. The crazy schedules, training, mandatory OT, and the extra gigs provide little time for family, let alone going to or committing to a church. Their prayer is that this will be something used to help keep you encouraged and equipped in your faith. So sit on back, but don't fall asleep. Yes, that means you, firefighters. And as always, stay safe.
Welcome back, y'all. Woo! Here we go.
Amen.
Scotty, Clint, how you guys doing?
Doing good, man.
Good.
Can't complain.
Here for another show. Welcome to the show.
We're back in the studio. All thanks to
Sounds so official.
Sam Bear Collective and Bellwether Recording.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
This place is awesome.
couldn't do it without them.
It's so legit. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she goes, "Hey, I started listening to y'all's show," and I said, "Man, really?" Like, I said, "Dang, I would have never thought that." And I said, "Man, that's awesome. Thank you so much." She goes, "Yeah." She said, "I had to turn it up, because I could hardly hear it." And I said, "Oh yeah, the recording's a lot better now because we got these people like have just." Really like opened their place up, allowed us to do this recording here, so now we have good vocals." She goes, "Yeah, I was listening to you the other day and I got a text message. I almost had a heart attack and ran off the road because it was so loud." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You shouldn't have to worry about that anymore.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, so thank y'all so much.
Maybe the editor can get his crap together.
That guy's a bum. But thank y'all so much for real. We really appreciate being here. It's an amazing place. Down in downtown Monroe, it's just awesome.
Absolutely. And maybe the editor can seek some accountability, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Accountability. Is that really what you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't need accountability.
What?
Actually, I need a lot of accountability. Clint's the one that's perfect, so.
Brother, don't lie to these folks.
He's the one that doesn't care about accountability.
Don't lie to these folks.
Are you going to...
That was very loud.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, so since we heard him just clang his can, we sit here and
I promise
we
you
have
it was just water.
Yeah. He gets...
Yes, it was just water.
So we have
Left
this
a lot to be
fridge.
desired.
We have this fridge, and it's full of like awesome drinks. So one of them being Liquid Death, which most of the drinks are the people who actually get to call this place home. And so we stole a couple from them because they said it was open, so technically we didn't steal it.
Still, we just...
But we felt bad. So Clint, my man, they had Liquid Death in there, which is very good stuff. My man Clint went to the store. He's like, "We're going to replenish their stuff." He gets the lemon lime, or the lime or whatever. It's phenomenal. It's probably their best one.
I feel like that's the only other one I've had, so it's definitely better than this one.
The berry one, lime and mango, all good. But like, he got the white
So
one.
I just
and
grabbed
said,
two of them that were next to
He
each other.
grabbed the box. I looked at it. He goes, "I've never had the white one." I looked at it. It says Mountain Water. I said, "I'm pretty sure that's just regular water in a really cool can."
So they were right next to each other. I remember that we had the lime one before. It was in the green can. And I was like, I just grabbed one next to it. There was other flavors.
So you gave up probably on the better flavors.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the berry flavor's legit, dude. It is.
I don't remember what other flavors they had. Well, first I walked. No, I'm not going to. I got to tell it now. I walked by it 3 times before I saw them.
That's all right. I do that too. My wife has to show me where pretty much everything is in my room after I tell her it's not there. So it's fine. You know what you could have done? You could have had accountability.
Could have called somebody.
You could have gone to somebody who actually works there and stocks the shelf. And they would have been like, oh, you don't have to walk past that at all. I know exactly. Well, now you're in Walmart. They don't know where it is. Walmart.
I should have consulted them on the choice as well. Hey, you had that mountain water? Yeah.
No, they're like
mud in the mountains, apparently.
No, they're probably like, sir, I work for Walmart. I can't afford liquid death. Stuff's like $2.50 a can for water.
I thought it was alcohol.
For what? I thought it was like.
I saw some kids with them. Like, they're out in the open with this. These kids are.
I actually thought it was
brazen.
like a hardcore energy drink.
I thought it was like a hard seltzer when I first saw them.
Oh yeah, because that's popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I saw the kids with it, I was like, "This Joker's wild around here."
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
Yeah, I thought it was the equivalent of like a Four Loko or something.
Yeah. Oh man, if a kid drank one of those, they would literally just fall over dead. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine a kid drinking a Four Loko after I've seen what it's done to an adult? Like, golly, I've never seen any kind of beer or alcohol mess up somebody like that right there. These people are now saying, well, you already admitted that you never drank, so how would you know? They're like, what is this idiot talking about? You don't know what he's talking about. Like, yeah, I do, because I'm the one that drives y'all home.
That's right. Scotty's the one who holds you accountable.
There you go.
Wait, I forgot that's what we're talking about.
It's almost like we planned it.
Full circle. But yeah, so what do y'all think about accountability?
It's cool, I guess.
Yeah, really.
Absolutely necessary.
100% necessary.
It's played a huge role in my life.
As a Christian, just anything really. I would imagine with your players.
Oh gosh.
Huge.
Yeah.
You know.
I wasn't even thinking of it as a team aspect, but yeah.
Something I just reading through some stuff, just kind of as we're getting ready to start. And I saw a question that says, "Can you forgive without accountability?" I was like, that's kind of interesting. And this says that forgiveness and accountability go hand in hand. They complement each other by emphasizing the importance of unconditional support and personal ownership over problems. And I thought that was pretty good. Mistakes and failures are a happenstance of getting work done.
Yeah, I can see that.
I thought that was pretty good. I never would have thought of it like going along with forgiveness.
Yeah.
So,
But that's a good, solid point. It's been we've talked about this in the past, but accountability has been, in my life, a huge thing. If you want to, I don't think we were meant to go into it, but when you want to talk about, drinking and stuff like that, one of the reasons why I don't drink, obviously, is because of my grandfather, who he got pretty much, he was an alcoholic and got drunk and he killed himself. So at a young age, I always looked at alcohol as not being good. And so when I got older, to me, it just was never appealing, and it still isn't. I don't really care if anybody drinks. The Bible doesn't say don't drink. It just says don't get drunk. But what I utilized it with was the fact that, well, if I don't drink, then I can be accountable for all my friends and people who do in high school. So that's what I did. I would drive every single weekend. They called me the driver. I wasn't as good as Baby Driver. Oh, is that movie? Is it Baby Driver?
I don't know that I've ever heard of what you're.
Oh man,
Baby Driver.
Oh, y'all need to look into that. I'm pretty sure it's called like Baby Driver or something like that. The guy who gets hired to drive for robbers.
You might be aging yourself here, Scotty. Let's see.
No, this movie's not that old.
2017.
Oh,
So,
Told you.
Baby Driver.
Anyway,
A music-loving orphan Also happens to be the. Can't read that word. We need Mouton for that one.
He's a great driver.
Talented, good.
So he gets hired.
Yeah, for like heists and stuff.
Yeah. Well, so I felt like, I am aging myself when I say this is how I felt myself like I was when I was in 2000, when I would drive my friends every weekend. 2000, 2001. So I drove everybody to everywhere we went, and I drove them all home, which, like, in college time period right after high school, thank goodness they got those rivets down 78, because I'm pretty sure those things have saved my life probably like 10 or 12
Falling
times.
asleep.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I had like 3 or 4 people in the back seat who are, hammered drunk, which we all know in our profession, I'm the one that's going to die. And
they'll be fine.
And they're all 3 of them are going to walk home. They're going to like say, "When am I need to get home."
Man, I got a headache.
So, but I always looked at it as when I didn't drink, I was accountable for all those people, and I try to keep them accountable. And then I remember in the churches I grew up with and everything, they'd always say, "Oh, you shouldn't go to bars, you shouldn't do this and hang out with people." And I'm like, I get where they're coming from, but I also think that, those people need Christ. Like, I mean, and when I'm in a bar, the number one thing that I talk to people about in a bar or in a party is usually God comes up every time, because they notice I'm not drinking. So for some reason, that means that I believe in God, which they believe in God usually too, and they're drinking. So I don't understand why that's always a topic, but that always comes up. And it's just, and you meet somebody and you show a witness. So like, but when I went to those bars, I always made sure I had somebody that I was accountable to. Before I met Megan, somebody to make sure that, I stand by my convictions and morals, making sure that I don't get involved with something that is not right, or, women in general, because I was trying to keep myself for marriage. So they looked at if I was to talk to a woman, or even after meeting Megan, I never had a thought of talking to another girl in like that kind of way, but still that temptation's there. So like having other friends and stuff with me to keep me accountable while I'm out was always something that was huge whenever we went out, which after I met Megan, I rarely ever went out anyway without her. But I'm just saying there were times when I would be with my friends and we just go whatever, sports bar or something. But that accountability is huge, because it's like nowadays it's more on phones. Like if somebody has a hard time with something, pornography, or if there's somebody they are attracted to texting and all that kind of stuff, whatever it is. Now you have people who have programs on your phone that you can actually like see what your friend or whoever you're linked up with is looking at on their phone as well. I think that's good stuff. I think it's very good to help keep people accountable for that, because it's that person's, they might only be doing it because somebody's looking at it. Like so when they're going to do something wrong, they might be thinking, they're kind of like just trying to justify why it's okay. And then, but they'll know, oh shoot, somebody's going to see this, so I'm not going to do it. And then that loses whatever urge or whatever sensation they have, and it gets pushed off. And then that's able to beat. That's able to like, after time, that's able to strengthen you being able to say no. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to be accountable for yourself, and I can see where that would strengthen your self accountability.
Oh yeah,
not even really meaning to.
Yeah. So I think they hit on that at church all the time, and I have several people who have talked to me about how they call people every morning and they have their phone linked up. And I know with men, it's a lot of times it's pornography, especially on phones nowadays. It's so hard to even get away from that. Shoot, you can't go on Facebook nowadays.
Just social media alone.
So I got back on Facebook because of this, because I wanted to get on the podcast and promote, and I got tired of just not being able to, try to like be positive and all that kind of stuff. But dude, I don't know where it comes from, but I'll just be scrolling to try to see if I like scrolling through there. I could care less about the drama. Some of these people, that they post. There's so many things that people post on there. I'm like, that's not helping anything. Like this is making it worse. But I just kind of like, okay, but legitimately, you'll see people say, I need prayer, or I need this, I need help, I need this. And I'm like, okay, because I like seeing that, because it's like, how can I help? But it baffles me because I'll get on there and there'll be some kind of, they're just, I don't even know how, I've deleted it like twice. Like, you know how you can delete the sponsor posts? I've deleted the same one. It's like boats and babes or something. And it ain't nothing like pornography or anything. But it's like I don't know, pictures of chicks in bikinis or girls in bikinis on boats, or they're fishing or something like that. And I'm like, how did that get on my Facebook? Like how did that get, like, where did that come from? And I still can't figure it out. Like, I've tried to think, I was like, no, I don't search for fishing. I search like aren't searching for like bikinis or anything, like, or like provocative clothes. You know, like I'm trying to figure out where it came from. And so it's just weird. But that's the reason I'm not on Instagram. Because on Instagram, I was talking to my buddy about this. I got off Instagram because I thought Instagram was going to be safer than Facebook, because the drama's less because it's more pictures and everything. Right. And I didn't know that. I'm not really familiar with Instagram. But a lot of people I know went to Instagram over Facebook. So I was like, oh, we'll try it out. Well, I go on there, and Megan, you know, she's a personal trainer as like a part-time thing. She's trying to find good exercises for some of the girls that she trains. And her and I have been talking a lot about muscle building and building muscle in females. You know, you're not going to get all women, you know, don't want to lift weights because they're afraid they're going to get all muscular and all that stuff. That's not going to happen unless you have a really sharp needle and some really good drugs. So I was telling her there's some really good workouts that, like, as a man, I don't really do that much, but women, it really benefits women. And there's this one girl, she's a trainer, I think in Australia or something. And she's very big. She's very feminine, but she's big into weightlifting. And gosh, she can squat she like sumo deadlifts like 500 pounds. It's freaking crazy. She is a beast. But
sounds painful.
Yeah. But she's a beast. But what I think is cool about her is that she's very feminine too. Like, she's not like what a lot of women are scared of getting to. And so I literally looked, and I had heard about her a long time ago. I looked her up and told Megan, I said, hey, follow this girl, because she has shorts and stuff with good workouts on there that you can give to your clients and stuff. Literally just like shared it onto her page or whatever you do. I don't really remember how you do it. And that was it. And then Megan said, do you have any other kind of like calisthenics, kind of like body weight kind of stuff? Because she lifts weights. But I was like, I mean, I'm sure you can lift it up. I mean, that's what Instagram's used for. You know, platforming, people use it for like fitness and music and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I searched female body weight fitness. Got some great like body weight fitness videos and stuff and profiles to help her out. So didn't think nothing of it. I go back on there, 3 days later, and I'm like searching for a friend of mine, and I open the search box, and the freaking thing ain't it's full of nothing but baseball, because that's literally at the time all I'm searching. Nothing but like baseball pictures and videos and stuff, and like half naked like fitness chicks. And I'm like, I just got set up. Like I'm like, are you serious? Like, that sucks. Because I'm a man, that's tempting. But I just immediately, I was like, I gotta get off, because I can't do that. Because, I mean, I don't want to be with any other woman but my woman, because she's pretty hot and tempting. Like fat, pretty hot and tempting.
I did not pick that up at first. I was like,
Oh man, bro,
it's like, why don't talk about her like
you ain't
that?
you ain't never heard of that?
I
I tell my kids all the time that their mom's fat,
I've heard that.
and they go pretty hot and tempting. Yeah, but yeah, no, you should see. I got so many names for her. She rocks my world. You do, baby. You rock my world. Oof. Come on, guys. You gotta. She gets embarrassed though, because I'm a little overboard sometimes, I guess. She just rolls her eyes at me now. Yeah. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, the whole social media and phone thing is.
I mean, you kind of opened up about that.
Technology in general, man. Like,
Makes it too easy to do stuff that you probably ought not be doing.
It's clear to see, like, how just easy it is to, or I guess how easily you can get sucked into.
It could start out completely innocent, like we were
Right.
talking about, and the next thing you know, it's there. You're clicking on. You know,
So
it just
you definitely got to have accountability and parameters. I think set on certain devices, or
you gotta be willing to look in the mirror and be like,
yeah,
you know, kind of.
or maybe even find somebody, find a friend and just say, hey,
Yeah.
I struggle with this. Can you
Like what Scotty was saying, you know, like
can you
somebody
set
doesn't know
up
what you're
something
doing.
like I think Jonah mentioned it at church.
He did.
In a sermon, but he said
him and his college guys did it.
him and his college buddies had
Yeah.
a thing called Covenant Eyes set up.
Is that what it's called?
I think it's called Covenant Eyes, and they can. I don't think you can like watch in live time what the other person's doing, but like
Kind of shows
if
you.
if the other person searches something questionable, an email gets sent to whoever you're partnered with.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
I mean, like Scotty was saying, like if you don't have somebody watching or something, nobody knows what you're doing. It makes it that much easier too. It was something that was already easy, you know.
Whatever you're talking about, when there's temptation, and I've pretty much fall into every temptation, including, I mean, all the big ones and all the little ones. I mean, I'm ashamed of every temptation I've ever had that's gotten me, but I can't in my life. Everything that has tempted me in my life, I never went into that temptation like saying, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I never was like just walking down the street and was like, all right, how can I plan on doing this, and this? It was something that triggered it.
Right.
And then gave me the sensation to do whatever the temptation was.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's physical, whatever it is. But like, it's always something that triggered me. And then it was just like, oh, and then it's like the devil like does something, he'll like find something, and then he just kind of like picks at it. And you're like,
Pretty good at what he's doing.
oh yeah, and you're able to say no, like, no, I don't need to be thinking about that. Lord, please help me. But then it's like little bit, and then you find yourself justifying it, like just a little bit, like whatever it is. I mean, it could be alcoholism, alcohol, drinking, whatever. I mean, because the devil knows that Bible says it's not wrong to drink, and that everybody who likes to drink they're gonna say, hey, the Bible didn't say don't drink, so they're gonna use that. But what the devil does, he's like, okay, I got you doing that. He goes, no, but I know you have a problem with saying no, so I'm gonna get you a little bit more, and then you'll say, I think I'm okay. I think until you're not okay.
You're giving him an inch and he's taking a mile.
Yeah, he'll definitely do that to you, and that's why it's important to have a big part of accountability.
Mm-hmm. We've mentioned before, and just this last podcast we got to talk about marriage and stuff like that. And you can have an awesome partner that keeps you accountable for certain things, and you can keep them accountable. And even I think that just the respect for your partner could potentially keep you accountable too. Whether they actually have an active role in keeping you accountable, they have a role. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm about to get real personal. But the other day my wife and I were talking about, we talk about stuff all the time. And I told her, I said, hey, it's really hard for a man to do anything in a day and not be tempted sexually in some kind of way. I mean, it's super hard. And we were just talking, and I said, and like, it's like, babe, like, I've never thought about being like actually wanting to be with somebody rather than you, because I think y'all picked up earlier that I don't really want to be with anybody but her. But I told her, I said, but I have to admit to you, like, I have fallen into lust since I've known you. I have lusted over another woman, before. And I said, and I hate that. Like, and it just kills me and crushes me inside. Like, I mean, literally, like, makes me feel so bad. And she told me, she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm so sorry. Like, it just makes me feel terrible, and I mean, I just can't stand it, because I think most of the time, if I lust over another woman, it's like me, it's like I'm wanting you, but I see her, and it's just weird how Satan will kind of, I don't know, mess with your mind. And she's like, I've never done that over another man. I was like, oh, great. Well, foot in mouth. I shouldn't have said nothing there, like, I just messed that one up. Never mind. I've never thought about another woman except you.
I was just kidding.
I was just playing. I got you. I thought you were gonna fall for it. I thought you were gonna fall for it, but you didn't. But I was like, oh shoot, and I was like, dang man, now I feel really bad. But when I talk to other men, like, this society's different. There's a lot more women in this society that crave. If we're talking about sexuality, crave sexuality. I think it's because it's more prominent in our system, in our our society. It's we don't value virginity anymore, hardly. We don't value like sex as what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like the most priceless thing we can give to somebody else, and we don't value that anymore. And I think that's why it's more prominent. I think that's why you have a more sexual females, because when I was a kid, and like even as a young adult, like even in early 2000s, I don't remember like there wasn't that many, what I'm saying? Like most guys were trying to coerce like women, but now, like, I mean, I have a buddy who, he doesn't believe in. Obviously, he doesn't. He's okay with premarital sex. He talks about it all the time, but But when we talk about it, he tells me, he goes, what's crazy is, he goes, I don't go searching for these women. They come to me, and I'm like, what the heck, It was freaking hard to get a number back in the day. Like, man, I used to have to work hard to get a number, and like I hear these guys nowadays saying like, I don't even approach them, they approach me. And that's crazy to me, like, because the guys were usually always the most sexual. Right. Like, that's the ones who have to struggle and go through things, and you're thinking, man, like, now women are having a hard time with that, And I don't know if they always did, and it was kind of like
maybe just wasn't talked about.
Yeah, or like, but like nowadays, I do remember when I was dating, though, it was hard. Especially in high school and right after high school, right before I met Megan, man, you had to go approach a woman. I mean, it was every once in a while you'd have a female approach you, but like nowadays, my buddy, like I told you, he goes, I don't even, he says, he told me that he has intercourse with women all the time, multiple times per week. Okay. And he says, I do not reach out to them. He goes, they message me, they DM me, they approach me. And I'm like, wow. So then I had talked to another one of my buddies who is okay with premarital sex. And he says the same thing. And he didn't even look that good. And I'm thinking, like my other buddy, I can understand him. He's a pretty good looking dude, you know, like, well, okay, whatever. But I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like what happened? You know, like, what changed? You know, like why? Well, first of all, it really sucks to me that premarital sex is like just you're supposed to have it kind of thing. I mean, that sucks. Like, that's supposed to be special, you know? Like, that's not supposed to be something you just throw around. And like now we don't even value it. I mean, if you had sex before marriage, okay, whatever. But what I'm saying is, and that's between you and God, okay? I'm not. Obviously, I have friends that are okay with premarital sex. I'm not judging them. But what I am saying is that you should at least take more pride in your body, pride in yourself. I don't know how we took a discussion on accountability and made it totally about sexuality, but you know, I
think it goes hand in hand though.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Like you're saying, like I mean, if
I feel like some people find like some self-worth, in stuff like that. They like these girls circling back to social media like Instagram. They're posting these pictures so they can get likes.
Yeah,
they're looking for the attention of it. I don't know if they just associate some kind of self-worth with that. I think that they do. You know, and I don't know about the girls approaching guys. That's kind of.
But also, there's the whole justification aspect of that. Like, they're justifying. I mean, just in general, I'm not like singling anybody out, but like, they're justifying their actions, so they're not going to be seeking accountability.
Yeah,
because they're doing what doing what they want to do to make themselves feel good.
Well, and I do think this, and I hate saying this, but I think it has something to do with, you know, when we were talking with Chief Hill in general, when we were talking about a lot of times it's like I couldn't imagine not being home with my kids and all that stuff,
Right.
and there's not as many fathers that are willing to step up to the plate nowadays.
Yep.
I think that has a lot to do with it because I think a lot of females. What's the first thing a guy, if you're in guy talk, you know, and you're sitting there and this girl's known for being promiscuous, the first thing a guy's going to say if he makes a mention about that person is, I bet she has daddy issues. Like, you hear that all the time. And so I wonder if that has anything to do with it, you know? But then again, obviously, if you want to go back to accountability, a bad dad doesn't have a lot of accountability because if somebody was making him accountable for being a good dad, then his actions would be a little bit different.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Could potentially end up changing.
I mean, I know several
What they
dads.
end up doing.
I know several guys who aren't very good dads. I mean, I hate saying that, and I've had talks with some of those guys, and I'm like, look, man, you gotta change what you're doing. You know, I want to love you and I want to care for you, but you know, if you're not going to take care of your family, you know what?
That's a way of you loving and caring for him, though, is trying to keep him accountable.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
What he's trying to do.
Absolutely. It's just sad, man, because I think about my kids. I think about the world they're going to grow up in. And I'm like, man, are they going to even have people around them that keep them accountable at that point, you know?
Yeah. The guy that I work with, I've worked with him for years. I don't work with him anymore at the same station, but I remember when we found out we were going to have Kinley, the little girl. We were talking at the station. I was like, man, the world we live in today, man, it scares me to death to think about trying to raise kids. And he said, man, the world still needs good people. And, you know, I believe, you know, I know that they were born when they were born for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, God's got plans for them. But as a dad, it makes you wonder, like what you just said, like, what in the world are they going to see? What's it going to look like when they're our age?
Terrifies me.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully they'll be able to keep themselves, accountable and be willing to be that friend, a good friend to those around them, and hopefully try to keep them accountable as well. But I guess that kind of goes with the values and stuff that we instill in them now. We've got to step up to the plate as dads, and maybe you're on something with that, which would make sense. These dads, these kids are growing up without any accountability from their dad because their dad didn't have any accountability.
Well, I mean, look at politics nowadays. They're blaming a lot of our youth and wokeism and all this kind of stuff on the lack of fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
They're blaming violence on the lack of fatherhood, and there's statistics to back that stuff up.
Yeah. Well, then we've gotten off on but like they talk about the toxic masculinity and stuff like that. God, I don't know. I don't mean to get off on something else, but God has roles for a man.
Well,
as a father, as a husband.
I don't see many women wanting a man that isn't masculine.
Right.
Now, can that be toxic? Yes.
Absolutely.
But nowadays it's almost like any masculinity is toxic.
Right.
And that's not true.
We're shooting down some good qualities and calling it toxic.
Yeah.
And I think it's, we're kind of seeing the results of that, and I guess in the long run we'll see it even more.
Well, it's like some of these guys who think they look at feminism now as like, well, feminism, used to be standing up for women's rights, trying to assist and help women in getting what they deserve as humans. We had a lot of hard times with race and feminism and all that kind of stuff. And now, a lot of guys feel like, well, now it's just turned into, well, they just hate guys. And it's like if you're a guy, you're bad. And I tell my wife all the time, the reason I am so involved with my kids and talk with them and listen to them and do everything I possibly can to make sure I'm a big part of their life is because I want them to, when they see a guy, I want them to see somebody, they want a guy that's like me or like the way I treat their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way of doing that is to just keep showing and talking to them. Because for me, a lot of desires we build as kids and into adulthood comes from what we see or what we had when we were kids. And so when they grow up, I want somebody that's going to treat them like I treat their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's but then again, their mom keeps me accountable with that. So, my wife is amazing at helping me see things and understand things with the girls that I might not understand or because I'm a guy, I'm different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm programmed differently. And some of it I see, but some of it I don't. So where I keep Megan accountable with our relationship and her keeping me accountable, then we in turn keep each other accountable for our kids. And it's really helped on the side because I have 4 girls. It's really helped because she can sometimes pick things up and see things that I can't, because I try, but I'm programmed differently, I'll tell you this, scripturally, I think personally, when I read when I read the apostles and when I read the stories about the disciples and the people that were around Christ, I guess mainly the disciples. I see something, I noticed something a while ago, and I questioned and I asked myself, and I really believe this. Jesus came to this earth. He didn't need nobody. He's free. He's like God incarnate, you know. So he comes to this earth, and when he becomes a grown up, he goes out and he picks an all-star team of guys, which none of them were good guys when he picked them. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So not only did he go out and not pick a bunch of Pharisees and religious leaders, he picks a bunch of he picks sailors and fishermen who, you know, the old phrase "cuss like a sailor," you know. So, and they were known not to be like the greatest of guys.
Yeah.
He picks tax collectors, you know, like, I mean, he picks these guys that are like, people are like, what the heck, you know? And then he puts them together and he collects these guys. And when you first start reading in the Bible about this, you're like, I imagine like somebody who's never read the Bible or doesn't know anything and they're reading it for the first time, trying to figure it out. Imagine you're reading this, because I don't remember what it was like when I was a kid reading it for the first time. And you're like, what is he doing? You know, like, he's just walking across the countryside, picking up guys, you know, to create this group of dudes. You know, and I'm like, I imagine like, because I try to pick up the perspective of somebody who doesn't know. You know, every time I read the Bible, I try to act like I've never read that part of Scripture before. So try to get a different perspective. And so he gets this group of guys together, and then he teaches them about God, and he preaches to them, and he trains them and teaches them about his word and him being the Christ that they've been told about and prophesied about. And so he teaches them these things. And then they go across the world at that time, their area, and he's telling them, these guys and God are, I mean, having a huge crowds come and watch them, listen to them. They're saving people, bringing people to Christ, all this kind of stuff. And I think about it, I'm like, my question is this, is like, what is the point of those guys? Like, what's the point? God doesn't need them, you know? Jesus didn't need them. Jesus could have preached to all those guys, done all those miracles, and those guys wouldn't have mattered one bit. Like, but there's a couple things here when I read it. He's preparing them for when he ascends into heaven, so that there are people who know exactly what he wants them to do. So he's preparing them. They're just basically servants of God at that point, which we all are. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they helped him during his sermons and stuff like that. And then I look at another thing. I'm like, you know what's also awesome is that I think it's, to me, I pull from it, it's a sign of accountability, because everywhere he went, you know, God's not going to sin. Jesus isn't going to sin. He's Christ. But everywhere he went, those guys followed him. And he had a crew of people who could potentially, as a sign, be accountability partners of each other. Mm-hmm. And were at times for each other. You know, like, but what's funny is, why were they all separated the night of the trial? And why were they like, why was Judas not, you know, Judas left, you know, and did his thing and sold God out. But why was Peter not with anybody? Like, why was he by himself? Like, they were never by themselves. So why was he by himself? And maybe there's a lot of, you know, historical and biblical depth here that I'm missing when I'm reading it. But I always wondered, like, so they were always together, and then Peter lies 3 times and he's by himself, so no one could keep him accountable. You know, that's weird to me. Like, why did that happen? Or, you know, and Peter's the one that cut the soldier's ear off. You know, I mean, obviously he was very strong and in his belief. And so that's another thing that baffles me, is we're talking about a guy who's so strong in his belief that he cut a Roman soldier's ear off trying to apprehend Jesus. And then a couple hours later, he denies Jesus. Like, am I getting this wrong? Like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's some little things that I'm like, why did that happen? Like, what am I supposed to get out of this? You know, what picture am I supposed to get out of this? And then you see that pretty much all of them had terrible deaths, you know, but they all died terrible deaths prophesying Christ. I think, was it John? Is John the only one that lived to be old? Dang it.
I think so.
It just slipped my mind. But I think it was John.
I think you're right.
And he was, but he was boiled
Yeah.
and lived.
Yeah.
And the only one to live to an old age was a person who they tried to kill. And so I'm thinking, like, first of all, there's a lot of things that's funny because I always try to look at it from the outside in, and I'm like, that's kind of weird, you know? Like, they're always together. They're always accountable for each other. They could be an accountability, like, vision of what accountability is to Christ. Christ is prepping them. They get prepped very well. But then 2 of them sell them out. And there's nobody else around them that's in that group. Because, like, my boys, when we go out together, like, we're always together. You know, you're never, like, separated. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
A lot of little lessons in there. Just after you until you break it down, like they had the accountability and they had growth from the accountability, and then when the accountability wasn't there anymore, even though they've had that growth, they went right back.
So
that's kind of a good lesson to. You may have some good accountability now, and you may make some great progress, but that doesn't mean that you don't need to be accountable anymore.
yeah,
You need to keep that accountability for
maintain
yourself. Absolutely.
yeah, because once they're separated, they weren't strong anymore.
Right.
But then you can look forward and you look past the sacrifice and the crucifixion. And one of my favorite parts in the Bible is this right here is they meet up in the room to see Jesus, and they see Jesus, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we saw Christ!" You know, all of them did except Thomas, you know, and then he's like, "I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I got to see it." And I'm like, wait a minute. So first of all, this guy watched this guy heal people like over and over and over again. He saw him do miracles, walk on water. Like, he saw all this stuff happen. And then he's like, yeah, I don't believe it. Like, what the heck? And then he goes up there and Christ is there. Jesus is there and shows him, you know, the wounds in his hands and stuff like that. And he believes. And what I love is the fact that Jesus Christ looks at them and says, he looks at him and goes, look at you who believed and saw. And then and he talks to us, he throws us a shout out, you know. And he's like, but think about those who will never see and believe. And I'm like, dude, that's us. You know, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he's talking about us.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. But it is a lot of faith. And even that faith is built on accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Because going to church, you know, how many times you try to talk yourself out of going to church and then your wife or somebody else talks you into it?
Well, shoot. Everybody knows me knows I like to deer hunt.
Yeah.
Get cold morning
Yeah.
in November. You know, and I've skipped church many a time to go sit in a deer stand or, you know, not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think, but
Well, no one said you can't have church in a deer stand. I mean,
Right.
church is church.
but just something as simple and as innocent as that is, if you will, that it could lead me to, well, I missed this week. You know, or if I miss next week. You know, just little things like
Yeah.
that can snowball into bigger things. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Sure.
I've been there with the whole deer hunting thing. But
You know, just a little example, just, you know.
I've prayed harder in a deer stand, just as hard anywhere I've ever prayed in my life in a deer stand. So, I mean, I don't think that it's bad that you skip church to go hunting.
Right.
But I think if it was an ongoing thing and you start putting that ahead of God.
And I have gotten to that point too. Like I
was there too at one point.
And that's what I was saying. That was my point with that is it starts out as something innocent that actually could be pretty good, pretty productive. So it turns into I missed last week. I ain't heard if I missed this week. I got a nice deer showing up on my trail camera. I want to keep hunting, try to get a chance at him. And then next thing you know, I'm not taking any time to reflect or pray. I'm just hanging out. Now I've missed church and I'm not praying. It's easy to snowball little things like that into bigger things, and the devil uses stuff like that. He'll get in there and use any kind of distractions to get you away from it. So that's good. And circle back to the accountability. If my wife's like, "Hey, you come to church with us this weekend,"
yeah,
and it's good to have that. So,
well, if you think about it, you just said that it's a bad thing, or a good thing can turn into a bad thing. But if you think about most of the things we're talking about that people have addictions to and problems with, a lot of it is like a good thing that's set up. Like sex is a good thing inside marriage. Christ says that. The Bible says that. Song of Solomon writes about it all the time. Makes me blush every once in a while. but you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like alcohol. I mean, they drank wine at parties.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost everything we do starts out as being innocent,
mm-hmm.
and then Satan finds what can get us, what things that can, and he's like, okay, I got him. I got that dude. Like, oh, he likes this. I got that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he snowballs it into something that it turns into regret at that point. So, I mean, because I've been there with the hunting thing. But what's crazy is that God has taken a lot of my desires as a young man, and I love hunting, but when I started having kids and they started getting older and I got married, like little things like that, like, dude, I used to help manage people's land, like trophy manage land for free, because I loved being in the woods so much. It was a lot of freaking work too.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved being in the woods so much and seeing production, not even production that I got, like that other people would get. And now it's like, I'm like my dad. So my dad and I hunted all the time together, like that, literally every winter. We hunted every winter I can remember since I was like 11 or 12. And then my dad stopped going. And I was like, why'd you stop going? Well, then one day he's like, I just don't really want to go if you're not going to go. And now I'm kind of the same way. Like, I don't really want to go because my kids have shown interest. It's like, I don't really want to go if my kids aren't going, because I just love being out there with them.
Right.
And it's like, I told Megan, I said, I don't care if I don't kill another trophy buck in my life. I could care less. When I'm out there with my kids, I want to have a good time, and I just love sitting with them and whispering and talking with them and enjoying God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if a doe comes out. If we see anything, it's just awesome, It's just cool. It's like our priorities change, and it's just, it's crazy how he can take something that you thought was everything and make it minute to where what he wants you to think is everything, where he wants you to believe something is everything, and he takes that everything, makes it minute, and then shows you how his will is and what he wants is everything. And it's pretty cool. But anyway, just going back to like disciples, I look at them as an accountability kind of, like, I use that whether or not, the Bible's full of parables. I just look at, like, that's a good reference for me of accountability, even though he didn't need it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it just goes all, accountability goes back to, it just comes kind of full circle to can't do life alone.
Exactly.
You know, we gotta. if we isolate ourselves, the devil's gonna get a foothold. Like, I mean, that's fact.
And don't you not think that that's part of the reason why God said it wasn't good to be alone?
Yeah.
You know, like he gave us
100%.
a female. He gave us a female and a female male to help us keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, no offense to y'all or any of my guy friends, but my wife keeps me way more accountable than any human on this planet.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it hurts.
Yeah.
But I know it's for the best.
Yeah. And
So.
if you do, you know, if you do slip up, you still, I mean, you have your spouse or a close friend or a pastor or whoever, to confess that you screwed up, you know. James 5:16 says, "Therefore confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed." So, I mean, that's another way to kind of seek out accountability, is
Healing.
through healing, through confessing
So you're
and praying
confessing.
for one another.
And that's to save you from, because if you don't heal, it's just going to fester.
Right.
It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It's like what we tell our kids all the time. And then we don't take it, you know, our own advice. Because, you know, Lord knows we mess up all the time. It doesn't get easier until you confess it. What's crazy is you hide something, and no matter how much hurt you're going through, if somebody finds out what you're hiding, once that's out and they find out and you confess to it and you say what you did, all that hurt you go through is nothing like the burden that you were holding. That's why these murderers can't like die or be put to death or go to prison. Most of them confess what they did, you know, later on in their life because they can't live with themselves.
Mm.
And then it's almost like they're free. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to share another scripture. It's Proverbs 15:32. I think it kind of goes along with what we're talking about as well. But it says, "Anyone who ignores discipline despises himself, but whoever listens to correction acquires good sense."
You got to be willing to listen to be able to grow when you've made those mistakes. If you're not willing to listen, that makes sense. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of our mistakes are made because we don't listen
Yeah.
the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Well,
all right. What you got?
No, I was just I was about to ask what y'all had. If y'all had anything else.
I feel like we jumped around a little bit, but it just kind of goes to show you that how many different aspects of life that you need accountability in,
Yeah.
and where it kind of shows its importance in so many different ways and so many different things.
Yeah, for
But-
sure.
It's definitely not a simple thing. Like,
Right.
I mean, even scripture is an accountability for us.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have a Bible in every one of my cars to keep me accountable for when I don't when I get slack off and don't do I get in my car and I sit down and I'm like, oh, man, I haven't done my devotions in 3 or 4 days. Oh, crud. I guess before I go to the gym here, I'll do, you know, like, I mean,
Doing
but
Bible curls.
yeah. New Testament, Old Testament, New Testament, Old Testament.
Well, now that we've made ourselves feel pretty bad,
Yeah.
Clint, do you have a compliment or a good word?
Yeah, word of the day, Clint. We need to hear that.
See, word of the day just
Sexy
sounds like
cowboy
compliments.
voice.
Compliments. How do you just give like a compliment, just a generic compliment to whoever? That's
Bro,
tough.
are we that
No.
that terrible of people? Like, you can't give us no compliments?
I could compliment
Whoever's
y'all all
listening,
day.
man, just
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I like the word of the day idea better, or whatever.
I want to hear both.
Well, we're gonna save the word of the day for Mouton because he can give us some pretty good words. Of the
gosh.
day.
This is a
No.
very good point.
I don't know if that. Let's time out. We're gonna give a word of the day to Mouton, who is gonna say a word that 99% of the people that are listening have no clue what it means. Like, I feel like he's that guy who just looks up random words in the dictionary, learns what they mean just to make him sound smart. I just.
He just learns a word, doesn't even learn what they mean, and just uses them in a sentence, and nobody else knows any different.
Have you ever seen the movie The Program?
Never.
It's a football movie that came out in the 90s. And the running back in it, he's heavily recruited. It's all about recruiting and paying and all that kind of stuff. And Holly Berry's in it. She's his tutor. And he starts using like smart words when he talks to her because he's trying to, she has a boyfriend. He's trying to move in, And she looks at him and goes, "You sound like an idiot using words that you don't know, but you just look up." She's like, "You don't think I can tell?" And I was like, every time Mouton pops out one of his words, he's going to be so mad when he hears this. He's like, "What are y'all talking about?" And I'm like, every time he says one of his words, and I'm like, I think I know what that means, but I don't really know what that means. I think of that movie. Like, I think he just looked that up and like, just memorized what that was. Going to a friend of mine who's dyslexic and can't spell. When he was a kid, he was so self-conscious of his dyslexia that he memorized how to spell photosynthesis as a little kid. So that when somebody would make fun of him for misspelling something, he goes, "What?" He's like, "Spell photosynthesis." And he was like, "I can't." And he would like ramble it off faster than anybody you can even know. Which I do know how to spell photosynthesis, I think. But
Way to find out.
well, yeah, we're gonna listen to you spell it.
Okay.
O-T-O,
PHOTO.
yes.
You sorry? Who's spelling it? Me or you? SYNTHESIS.
That's right.
Photosynthesis.
Wait, what?
What's that video? Iridocyclitis.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
Yes. Oh, man.
Getting off on a tangent again.
But yeah, so
That's my word of the day.
tangent?
No, iridocyclitis.
Oh, goodness.
No idea
You
what
can't
that
steal
means.
somebody's.
Well,
You did. Give us a word of a day, Clint.
you said, so am I giving a word of the day or am I complimenting people?
Do both.
Word of the day, encouragement.
There you go.
I hope that you can find some encouragement in our podcast and amongst your friends.
Yeah, I like that.
And
Very nice.
my compliment is you are worthy.
Oh,
Hey, I like it.
that's good, man. We need to try to do that more often.
Yeah.
That just made my night.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm worthy now.
You are. I hope that you're encouraged.
Wow. Mind blown. you just treat me like what is it, the double check, or was it the bundle? That commercial with the guy where he goes, "You can do this, this, this." He goes, "Well, that's not 3 words." And he goes, "It is if you bundle them." That's pretty awesome. Good job,
I have
Clint.
to come up with a jingle now. It's time for a compliment from Clint.
I'm going to run out quick.
All right, guys. I have no more compliments today.
You're worthy, okay? What else do you want from me?
Yeah, I already said that. It's like, come on, guys. Well, cool. As long as I don't have to say a health tip, then we'll just make Clint do compliments every single show.
Oh, we're gonna get more health tips. Don't worry.
All right, whatever. Do y'all have y'all got any prayer requests?
When you were talking earlier about the last one, you're like, yeah, we talked about this before, and we get all the way in. And then you said, well, it's just going to happen again.
Well, mine are still pretty much the same. My buddy, obviously, who has cancer, and then I have a mentor who has cancer. They're both fighting it. I have a friend who's trying to have a baby. I have another friend who lost his job. And,
My papa would be a good one. He lost my meemaw a little while back. My grandmother.
Yeah.
She'd been battling dementia for a while.
Oh,
And
that's terrible.
he was her primary caretaker, and he was the example of till death do us part. He never left her side.
It's awesome.
Cared for her all the way to the end, and I know he's having a hard time, especially we just got through the holiday season and everything, and I know it was difficult for him. So
Well,
that's one that definitely comes to mind. Y'all keep him in your prayers, and
in our profession, we see that a good bit. That's the elderly will call and they're just so lonely. You can just tell,
yeah,
especially women, if they don't feel good and you call and you can just tell that they just like you being there to listen to them talk and everything. That's sad. I hate to hear that. How old is he?
it's a great question.
Roughly.
Late 80s,
Okay.
86, I believe.
Cool. The same age as one of our presidents coming up.
Oh man.
Oh, I'm just
He's
kidding.
more with it. He at least knows what day of the week it is, or where he's at in general. I'm gonna get us in trouble.
He's just canceled.
Yeah. You just woke up.
Yeah,
Oh, man. What about you, Jacob? You good?
Got a few unspokens. Man, yeah. I mentioned on the last one the church at the Grove, but I think just the church in general.
Well, yeah, and the church also is, trying to get that building started and everything like that.
Yeah.
We gotta expand, and man, I wish I could just write a check, man.
Yeah, same.
Gosh, because I know the heart.
well, you could. Might bounce, but
It ain't gonna. Yeah, it definitely ain't gonna clear. It's just I know the heart. I know the heart of Russ. And
Yeah.
I know the heart of the people, of the core of our church, and I just wish that, yeah. But we all wish that we could just fix it. It's one swipe of the pen.
Yeah.
That's where our faith and prayer is gonna come in. So I see big things. I'm excited, and we'll pray about the small groups and stuff like that, and stuff in general. But I also have a praise that we have this studio, and just thankful for our friendship that we've gotten over through this. I mean, it's been really cool
Yeah.
getting to really get close to y'all and know y'all.
For sure.
get to pick on each other.
Love it. Love it. Gosh, I love being mean to my friends.
It's the best.
It is. It's so awesome.
That's something that I think a lot of people may not get about.
Nah.
Or y'all same way? You think police officers the same way?
Oh, yeah.
I figured you
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
were, but we're together all the time.
It's like if you don't get picked on,
they don't like
that's
it.
when you know there's an issue.
Yeah, you're like, oh crap, I'm that guy. I'm the guy no one wants to be around. Yeah.
But we just get to. This guy is a way that we kind of show our love to each other.
It's so
Just pick it,
weird, man. Gosh, me and my
Sometimes I catch myself I'll come home and I'll be talking to my wife, kind of just cutting up with her, and I'm have to kind of gate myself back a little bit.
yeah,
"Eesh."
my wife doesn't get it. I told my wife a lot recently. I'm like, babe, we've been together over 22 years. You ain't figured me out yet? Like, you don't know I'm joking? Like today, she said, how y'all doing? How's Libby feeling? Because my top middle, she had a temperature this morning. It was like 100, but she was 101 last night. And she goes, so how are y'all doing? I sent her a text back, and I said, oh, we're good. I'm at the gym right now. I told Olivia just to sit in the corner. And she goes, are you serious? Like, you see the exclamation marks, and I could hear her. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, babe, really? Like, I didn't even answer. And then she answered like 3 hours later because she was in surgery or something. And she answered 3 hours later. She starts talking about off topic something. I said, oh, yeah. And no, I did not take our sick kid to the gym. And she's like, oh, after I stopped after my initial, are you serious? She goes, yeah, I figured you didn't. You wouldn't be that stupid. And I'm like, what? Oh, man, I don't know. I might It depends. If I hadn't had leg day in about 3 or 4 weeks, I might have done it. Just kidding. I would have done that.
I wouldn't have done it either. Mostly because I'm not going to do leg day.
Yeah. Well,
Only arms.
I've gone back down to leg day because my first initial like thing that I used to say is as long as my chest and shoulders are bigger than my belly, I was okay. And now I'm like, oh dang it! When my belly gets bigger and my chest and shoulders get bigger, it looks awkward when they're sitting on stilts.
Something's got to tote them around, you know.
I said, yeah, I gotta try to start getting my legs back to where they look normal. But anyway. Well, that's all I got. Yeah. So, and if any of y'all have any prayer requests or anything you need, just hit us up. Email us. You can message us on Facebook and just reach out to us, man. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear topics like Clint was talking about, or just straight prayer requests. And you don't have to tell us what it is. Just let us know how you feel about something. You can keep it unspoken or unknown. That's fine with us because God knows everything, so we're good. So.
That's right. All right, y'all.
Love y'all so much. See y'all next time.
Love you guys. Stay safe out there. Peace.